Hi, this is Steve with Thresher Media Group. Welcome to When You're Ready to Listen. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the truth about God, things you may not have understood, may not have been taught, or quite frankly, had a very hard time believing. And since our entire relationship with God rests on believing, it is important we learn how to separate the truth from the many lies and fictions that abound within the religion of Christianity. So when you're ready to listen, tune in and discover a pathway to freedom, encouragement, life, and hope. A couple of quick reminders. Thresher Media Group is a 501c3 public charity, and we rely entirely on donations from our listeners. If the Spirit leads you, please support this ministry. It's easy to do. Just go to the website, threshermediagroup.com, and click the Donate tab in the header. I would also encourage you to go to Amazon and pick up a copy of Liberating the Book of Revelation, Returning to the Source of the Message. This book is intended to help us all know what the Spirit said and how He said it. This book is focused not on interpreting the book of Revelation, that is what this podcast is for, but on accurately representing the book of Revelation in the manner in which the Spirit originally spoke it to John. It is available in all formats, hardback, paperback, ebook format, and as an audible. In our last podcast, we discussed the called and chosen and faithful. This is the bride of Christ and the ones who are with Him always. They are those to whom Jesus promised, "I will never leave you nor forsake you," and that where I am, you will also be. We discussed the pivotal conjunction that demands that we are born again or converted by God, and that we dig down deep in our soul and choose to become a little child, one who is dependent upon Yahweh for all things, all the time. This is what defines those who are called and chosen. But those who endure, no matter what Yahweh takes them through, these are those with Him, the called and chosen and faithful. Episode 147, Revelation 17, verse 15 through 18, the great judgment of the harlot. Revelation 17, verses 15 through 18. And He now says to me, "The waters which you saw where the harlot now chooses to sit are now peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw, and the beast, these will in the future hate the harlot and cause her to be desolate, will in the future make her naked, and will in the future choose to eat her flesh, and will in the future burn her up with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to execute His purpose by having a common mind, agreeing to give the kingdom to the beast until the words of God will in the future be caused to be fulfilled. The woman whom you saw now is the great city, which is now reigning over the kings of the earth." The waters. The angel provides John additional detail about the image, and he now says, "The waters which you saw, where the harlot now chooses to sit, are now peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." According to the code, this harlot sits not in one location, but all over the world. She does not have an exclusive clientele. She prostitutes herself to whomever will have her, whomever is willing to pay the price. This phrasing, peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, is comprehensive. Sometimes she is found in a gathering, sometimes amongst a people group, and there are even entire countries and continents that have held her up as their ideal. People the world over simply love religion. They love idolatry. They love abominations. They love the unclean things of her immorality. It makes them feel so good. The future judgment of the harlot by the horns and the beast. The Spirit first exposed us to the extent of this woman's harlotry, so we will understand this next part of the revelation, the war that is waged against this woman and her idolatrous religion. We once spoke about the fact that according to the code, horns are a symbol of strength and might. In this application, they are the henchmen of the heads, the muscle of the higher spiritual kings and princes. As such, it is the horns, and not the heads, that lead the battle against the harlot, a battle which is guaranteed to have both spiritual and physical implications. And the 10 horns which you saw, and the beast, these will in the future hate the harlot, and cause her to be desolate, and will in the future make her naked, and will in the future choose to eat her flesh, and will in the future burn her up with fire. The code also switches such that it predominantly utilizes the future tense. Therefore, we can be sure that this is speaking of future events during that time of that infamous hour. This is not happening now. This is a judgment reserved for the end. Once again, the beast is one of the 7 heads, and his kingdom is not only the entire amalgamation of 7 heads and 10 horns, but he is also the little horn, i.e., the one who humbles himself, makes himself small or little by entering a man. Collectively, these horns, led by the small horn, will in the future hate the harlot and cause her to be desolate, will in the future make her naked, and will in the future choose to eat her flesh, and will in the future burn her up with fire. It is important to note that desolate is not an adjective like naked, but a verb that is rendered in the perfect passive participle. This means that her fate has been decreed sometime in the past, and she will be made desolate or laid waste by these horns and the beast, and desolate will be her ongoing state of existence. In effect, she will be emptied out and permanently exiled. She once bragged that she is a queen and will not be a widow and will never see mourning, but she was wrong. In the Codex, her demise was predicted with painful detail. Isaiah 47, 1 through 15. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no longer be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. Remove your veil, strip off the skirt, uncover the leg, cross the rivers. Your nakedness will be uncovered. Your shame also will be exposed. I will take vengeance and will not spare a man. Our Redeemer, Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit silently and go into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you will no longer be called the Queen of Kingdoms. I was angry with my people. I profaned my heritage and gave them into your hand. You did not show mercy to them. On the aged, you made your yoke very heavy. Yet you said, I will be a queen forever. These things you did not consider, nor remember the outcome of them. Now then, hear this, you sensual one, who dwells securely, who says in your heart, I am, and there is no one besides me. I will not sit as a widow, nor know loss of children. But these 2 things will come on you suddenly, in one day, loss of children and widowhood. They will come on you in full measure, in spite of your many sorceries, in spite of the great power of your spells. You felt secure in your wickedness and said, no one sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge, they have deluded you. For you have said in your heart, I am, and there is no one besides me. But evil will come on you, which you will not know how to charm away, and disaster will fall on you, for which you cannot atone, and destruction about which you do not know will come upon you suddenly. Stand fast now in your spells and in your many sorceries with which you have labored from your youth. Perhaps you'll be able to profit. Perhaps you may cause trembling. You are wearied with your many counsels. Let now the astrologers, those who prophesy by the stars, those who predict by the new moons, stand up and save you from what will come upon you. Behold, they have become like stubble. Fire burns them. They cannot deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There will be no coal to warm by, nor a fire to sit before. So have those become to you with whom you have labored, who have trafficked with you from your youth. Each has wandered in their own way. There is none to save you. This harlot thinks she is the bee's knees because she sits on top of the world with all those peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues, which she considers to be her children. She honestly believes she is untouchable, but she will be emptied, and these faithful followers will either abandon her or be burned like stubble. The imagery is wicked. Hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her up with fire. The Spirit is clearly saying that there will be a total and universal judgment on the religions of this world, all which have prostituted themselves with idolatry and the worship of demons. They will be exposed for their lies and be violently ended. Quickly, suddenly will be her demise. And this judgment will fall upon the religion of Christianity, Judaism, and all other religions who were convinced they were serving God by leading their people to try so hard to be good for God. The 10 horns and the beast will hate the harlot and cause others to hate her as well. The fact that they will eat her flesh, which is crazy, seems to communicate that the beast will consume or take over her substance. He will clothe himself with religion, his own blend, where he is not just one who facilitates and directs worship, but he is the object of worship. And with his exaltation, her house will be abandoned, desolate. People will either leave her and worship the beast, or they will die. And she will be stripped naked and exposed. The beast will disclose her delusion and the falsity of her ways. The promises she made to her captives cannot and will not be fulfilled, and she will be burned up with fire. Everywhere she may be found in the world will literally be destroyed and made into a pile of soot. This is what hatred looks like. It is God's plan. For God has put it in their hearts to execute his purpose by having a common mind agreeing to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God will in the future be caused to be fulfilled. Once again, we are reminded that Jesus is Yahweh, the Lord, Adonai, God Almighty, the beginning and the end, the one who has not just the plan, but the power to ensure his plans all come to fruition in exacting detail, a plan which no one can frustrate. God uses evil to punish evil. In this text, we see that the demonic beings are just tools in the hands of the Almighty. Yahweh will use them for his purposes and for his agenda. Yes, Yahweh will use evil to accomplish his purposes, which is why he created evil in the first place, to serve his purposes. Isaiah 45, 6-7. I am Yahweh, and there is no other, the one forming light and creating darkness, causing peace and creating evil. I am Yahweh who does all these. Ironically, the horns will think that it is their plan because God has put it in their hearts to do his will, to hate, to make desolate and naked, to eat her flesh and to burn her up with fire, and to give their kingdom to the beast. And these 10 kings and the beast will act accordingly until the words of God will in the future be caused to be fulfilled. Isaiah 46, 9-10. I am God, and there is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things which have not been done, saying, my purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure. Isaiah 43:13. Even from eternity, I am he, and there is no one who can deliver out of my hand. I act, and who can reverse it? Isaiah 14:26-27. This is the plan devised against the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out against all the nations. For Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, has planned, and who can frustrate it? And as for his stretched out hand, who can turn it back? Job 9:12. Were he to snatch away, what could restrain him? Who could say to him, what are you doing? Think for a moment about the dynamic upon the earth. This man whom we call the Antichrist ascends to political and religious power and amasses a level of military might. Being possessed by the beast, who is himself possessed by miracle-working demons, the Antichrist will work miracles and even claim to be God. At that point, he is all in, and he'll go to war against anyone and any institution that suggests otherwise. After all, God did say that he created the destroyer to ruin, or to pervert and to make desolate. And that is what he will do, right up to the point that he himself is destroyed with a complete destruction. These 10 kings will be of one mind, and they will act with great violence. The physical impact of it all is detailed for us in Revelation 18, and it is a complete destruction. With that said, it's not clear exactly how this demonic force will manifest their will upon humanity, but they will cause peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues to turn against this harlot, and they give themselves fully to the worship of their new Messiah, the beast. The great city, Revelation 17:18. The woman whom you saw now is the great city, which is now reigning over the kings of the earth. Being rendered in the present tense, she is even now reigning, or she now holds a position of royalty, and she now is the great city. This brings clarity to another part of the Revelation narrative, and that is regarding the tale of the two witnesses. If you remember, when the beast is released from the abyss, he will make war with the two witnesses and kill them. We are told that their dead body, a singular reference to the two witnesses, will lie in the great city, which is now caused to be called mystically Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was caused to be crucified. The point was that in contrast to the narratives that claim the two witnesses are killed in Jerusalem, they are killed in this spiritual great city of religious apostasy, in Mystery Babylon the Great, which is a worldwide populace, for this woman sits upon peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Jesus was killed amongst the religious faithful of his day, and so too will the two witnesses be murdered in the great city, and their dead body that will be put on display before the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations is a reference to the body of Christ, comprised of Jewish and Gentile believers who collectively comprise one body and who individually are members of it. And that is why the Spirit specifically said body, singular, and not bodies, plural. This woman is drunk with the blood of the saints, for her followers have and will be those who persecute and kill the body of Christ, all while convinced they are doing a service for God. John 16, verse 1 through 4. These things I have spoken to you so that you may be kept from being caused to stumble. They will in the future make you outcast from the synagogue. But an hour chooses to now come, for everyone who has been killing you may think that he now is offering service to God. These things they will in the future do because they have not known the Father or me. But these things I have spoken to you so that when their hour may come, you may now remember that I told you of them. This woman, the great harlot, who chose to now be sitting on a scarlet beast full of blasphemous names, having 7 heads and 10 horns, who now chooses to sit on many waters, peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, is the great city. And she now holds a position of royalty over all those who follow her seductions. She is the embodiment of religious apostasy. And it is through her harlotry that the blasphemous names, the misappropriation of the name of Yahweh, is prevalent all throughout the earth. She is Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth, and her gold cup is full of abominations and of the unclean things of her immorality. Kings of the earth. The woman whom you saw now is the great city, which is now reigning over the kings of the earth. We've addressed this phrase, the kings of the earth, previously in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 2, where the angel showed John the judgment of the great harlot. He said to John, "Come here. I will in the future show you the judgment of the great harlot, who now chooses to be sitting on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed acts of immorality." We were first introduced to this phrase, kings of the earth, in Revelation 1:5, where we were told that Jesus, the firstborn of the dead, is the ruler or the prince of the kings of the earth. This is a non-Hebraic way of saying that Jesus is Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, the commander of the angelic forces, the Elohim, the gods who have been given charge or rule over the territories of the earth. The kings of the earth are ruled by higher level spirit princes, the heads and the horns. But these kings have been assigned by Yahweh territory over which they rule humanity. These kings of the earth are also mentioned in Psalm 2, along with the angelic rulers who take counsel together against Yahweh and his anointed, which means the Messiah, the Christ, saying, "Let us tear their fetters apart and cast their cords from us." The kings of the earth plot to gain their freedom from their master, their prince, their ruler, Yahweh Sabaoth. After all, it's likely that they too know the prophecy. He will cut off the spirit princes. He is feared by the kings of the earth. Every territory that these kings rule, they have permitted the so-called gods, who, as we've learned, are just demons in disguise, to be worshipped and honored within their territory. They have provided the platform for the demonic to introduce all manner of idolatry into the realms of humanity. This describes their acts of immorality with the harlot. Who knows, maybe these kings, like the 7 heads, have taken on the form of a god to be worshipped by humanity. From the gods of Egypt to the golden cows of Samaria and Dan, to Apollo, Ares, Athena, Hera, Hermes, Zeus, to the pantheon of Hindu gods, to Allah, to Mary, the Queen of Heaven, to the thousands of incarnations of Jesus that are worshipped across the religion of Christianity. These kings of the earth have joined with the harlot, the woman who rides the beast, and thereby committed acts of immorality. The fact that this great harlot is now reigning over these kings tells us that this spirit of religious apostasy dictates obeisance from the kings of the earth, and they allow themselves to be ruled by her harlotries. After all, they committed acts of immorality with her, while those who dwell on the earth were made drunk with the wine of her immorality. The Codex tells us that Yahweh will wreak havoc upon the angelic hosts who are in the heavens, but also upon those who reign on the earth, these kings of the earth. Isaiah 24:19 through 23. The earth is broken asunder. The earth is split through. The earth is shaken violently. The earth reels to and fro like a drunkard and totters like a shack, for its transgression is heavy upon it, and it will fall, never to rise again. So it will happen in that day that Yahweh will punish the hosts of heaven on high and the kings of the earth on the earth. They will be gathered together like prisoners in the dungeon and will be confined in prison. And after many days, they will be punished. Then the moon will be abashed and the sun ashamed. For Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and his glory will be before his elders. Psalms 76, verses 11 through 12. Make vows to Yahweh, your God, and fulfill them. Let all who are around him bring gifts to him who is to be feared. He will cut off the spirit of princes. He is feared by the kings of the earth. We know that the physical kings of the earth do not fear Yahweh. In fact, so many outright blaspheme and deny him. But we know that the hosts, the armies of heaven, are terrified of their master and Lord, Yahweh Sabaoth. Despite their fear, this woman of wickedness, this harlot, is so enticing and seductive that she can demand obedience and demand that the rulers of mankind indulge in her immorality. And they continually imbibe, helping fill up her cup of wickedness. Hence, she rides on the back and rules over them. Ultimately, she'll ride on the back of the beast until the fateful day when the kingdom of the beast will turn on her and destroy her. Review of heads and horns. The kingdom of the beast was previously imaged as a great mountain burning with fire that is thrown into the sea of humanity. We have discovered that this kingdom is comprised of 7 heads, which are 7 spiritual princes or kings, who are the strategic leaders of this demonic kingdom. The kingdom of 7 heads, or 7 kings, also has 10 horns, or 10 spiritual authorities, whose purpose is to attack and defend. The 7 heads will use these 10 horns to interface with and to bully, overpower, dominate, and to crush mankind. These spiritual authorities, however, are not released upon humanity until the beast is released upon the earth. Their authority as kings is tied to the time in which the beast is unleashed upon the earth, and even then, only for 1 hour. Jesus spoke about the hour of testing that would come upon the whole world to test those who are now dwelling on the earth. And an angel flying in mid-heaven, having the eternal gospel to preach, said with a loud voice, "You are commanded to be caused to fear God, and you are commanded to give him glory, for the hour of his judgment has come." Sticking to the code, their authority to function as kings, impacting this world, will be only for the time of testing, which will be after the first harvest, which is a reference to the rapture of the church. This is in line with the fact that Jesus promised the church at Philadelphia that they would be kept from the hour of testing that is now coming upon the whole world. The time is also correlated with the 1 hour in which the judgment of Babylon, the great city, comes. In 1 hour, her great wealth is laid to waste. Yes, in 1 hour, she is laid waste by the 10 horns and the beast. Prior to his release from the abyss, the kingdom of the beast is prepared for the beast, the angelic spirit whose name is the destroyer or destruction. This assembly of heads and horns, angelic powers, is put into place and comes to prominence in the sea of humanity with fire and fury. Then, when he is released from the abyss, the destroyer joins the 7 heads as an 8th and takes up his leadership and reigns over this kingdom. However, when he rises to power with violence, he will cause 3 of the horns that were affixed to the 7 heads to be uprooted. So there will be 7 heads ruling this kingdom. But ultimately, only 8 horns, as the beast functions as the little horn of Daniel, as an interface with mankind that opposes and crushes the people of God. And since 8 is the number of new beginnings, a number connected to the Messiah, he will be the ultimate poser, convincing the world that he is their promised Messiah. At first, this kingdom allows the harlot, who is now sitting on many waters, to ride upon it. Therefore, we should expect to see those ruling this kingdom and the man we call the Antichrist to utilize religion to assist in their quest for power, rule, and authority. We are told in the Codex that the spirit of the beast has taken his seat in the naos, the holy place of the temple of God. And it is there amongst the people of God that he now declares he now is God. The spirit behind this man of lawlessness is already at work amongst the people of God. And those who do not choose to receive the love of the truth so as to be caused to be saved are now choosing to perish with the beast. Accordingly, the people of God, the called and chosen and faithful, need to be alert, awake, and properly clothed so they will not walk around naked and so others will not see their shame if they fail to recognize this deceiver. I'm glad you've tuned in and have been ready to listen. To get a free download of the full written transcript with all the scripture references footnoted, please go to threshermediagroup.com. That is THRESHER mediagroup.com. This is Steve with Thresher Media Group. When you're ready to listen, tune in.